Welcome to Broncos Weekend, presented by Ent Credit Union, the official banking partner of the Denver Broncos.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to a special post-game edition of Broncos Weekend. I'm your host and Denver Broncos team reporter, Elisa Hernandez. Later in the show, we will be joined by lead writer on DenverBroncos.com, Aric DiLalla, who was in Los Angeles for Thursday Night Football. Plus, Denver 7's Bradey King and former Bronco and ESPN analyst Orlando Franklin will also stop by the studio. In Week 16, the Broncos traveled to the West Coast to take on the Los Angeles Chargers as they make a push in the AFC playoff race. The Broncos go to 9-6 on the season, falling to the Chargers. The Chargers improve to 9-6, matching the Broncos' record. Denver, still battling for a playoff spot, will look to clinch on the road in Cincinnati. For more, we head out to the West Coast to check in with DenverBroncos.com lead writer Aric DiLalla at SoFi Stadium.
Thanks, Elisa. The Broncos fell 34-27 to the Los Angeles Chargers here at SoFi Stadium. Ultimately, a tale of two halves for the Denver Broncos, who started out very hot. They scored touchdowns on their first three possessions, the first time since Week 2 of the 2023 season that they were able to do that. They jumped out to a 21-10 lead. They later led by 11 points in the second half as well, but unfortunately scored just 6 points in the second half. The Chargers use a 21-0 run in the second half to come away with the win. The Broncos did close the gap late, and they were able to kick a field goal, attempt an onside kick. Unfortunately, the Chargers were able to recover the onside kick. The Broncos, things kind of changed at the end of the first half. Chris Abrams-Drain gets the first interception of his young career, and it seems like the Broncos are going to go to halftime with an 11-point lead. Unfortunately, the Broncos punted away after a short offensive drive. There's a penalty on the punt, and the Chargers are able to attempt a free kick. They're able to cut the lead to 8 points at halftime. It felt like a little bit of a turning point, and like I mentioned, the Broncos, those penalties just kept going in the second half. Some untimely defensive penalties in the second half really hurt the Broncos, and extended Chargers drives. I mentioned the 21-0 run they went on in the second half. The run game for the Broncos, it was a positive early as they ran for 43 yards on the opening drive, which ended with an Audric Estime touchdown, the first of his career. Unfortunately, didn't gain quite the same sort of momentum with the run game. And while I did mention the penalty yardage for the Denver Broncos, it was almost non-existent for the Chargers until the late moments of the game when the Chargers intentionally took a delay of game. They were called just one penalty for 3 yards. There was a moment at one point in the second half where Bo Nix threw a deep to Marvin Mims. It looked like defensive pass interference, but it was not called, and the Broncos could not score until late in the game. So the Broncos' playoff chances will have to wait, and the Broncos now need to rebound. They sit at 9-6. They will travel next Saturday to face the Cincinnati Bengals, but for now at SoFi Stadium, they fall 34-27 to the Los Angeles Chargers, led an 11-point second half lead, get away, and will now look to move forward.
Thanks, Aric. We'll check back in with you later in the show. Going into the matchup, head coach Sean Payton spoke about the resiliency of this team. In Week 15, the Broncos clinched their first winning season since 2016, and despite the loss, still have a chance to punch their ticket into the playoffs in the final 2 games. After the game, Payton spoke to the media following the Broncos' road loss.
It was disappointing because there was a lot at stake, and we know that. We had a fast start, was encouraged by that, and then uncharacteristically this season, we didn't finish or play nearly well enough in the second half, both offensively and defensively. Time of possession, the third down numbers, our rushing numbers fell off in the second half. Credit Los Angeles for fighting their way back in, and we didn't make enough plays in the end. So we go from there. Any questions?
Take us through that end of half sequence from the punt through the fair catch free kick. And the penalty obviously was a costly one.
Yeah, look, I think 41 seconds to start the drive. We'll try to see. Typically, you'd be pretty conservative. We're going to have the ball. We ran a screen. And then when the clock got low enough, there wasn't, we didn't get any momentum going there. We just ran the ball and punted it. The penalty puts them in a position then. And basically, anytime you catch a punt, you have the ability to place it right there and get a free kick. Doesn't happen much. We practice it all the time. Well, in that situation, the penalty put them in field goal position, so it's disappointing.
Sean, what did you like from the run game on that first drive, and kind of what do you think led to those drop in numbers moving forward?
Well, look, I mean, we had some attempts. Maybe the execution. I'll see the film. The first drive was the rhythm we wanted, the tempo we wanted, and yet, in the second half, we get some pressure looks. When they're playing from behind. So, we didn't sustain it enough, and certainly I got to look at each series. Hey, with some of these looks. What are some of the runs maybe we can still get to? We have plenty of work on the run game going into the game. I thought the young backs did a good job. We'll keep working those guys.
Coach, with 5 minutes left, it's 4th and 5. You decide to punt. Was there any thought of going for it there?
Yeah. But the timeouts, all the percentages, field position, we just couldn't get them stopped.
Your thoughts on some of the penalties? You touched upon Traymon Smith. There was
that obviously cost us personal. I mean, look, that final game go-ahead drive, what were there, 3? There were 3 penalties in that final drive. And, look, it keeps continuing, so we got to do a better job coaching because it's not like it's new. And so it'll cost you. It'll cost you in games.
When we come back, we will check in one more time with Aric DiLalla from Los Angeles and hear what quarterback Bo Nix had to say following the game. That's coming up next.
Bank better with Broncos checking from Ent Credit Union, the official banking partner of the Denver Broncos.
Welcome back to Broncos Weekend. I'm Aric DiLalla here at SoFi Stadium talking about the Broncos' 34-27 loss to the Los Angeles Chargers. As I mentioned, the Broncos will now go to Cincinnati on Saturday in order to get their 10th win and try to get closer to that playoff berth. Of course, they can earn a playoff berth with a win in Cincinnati, but it will not be easy. They'll face Joe Burrow in one of the league's best passing attacks with Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and they will have to find a way. Defensively, there were some long drives that Justin Herbert was able to lead. He made some great plays, especially outside of the pocket with his legs. Broncos defense will need to shore that up, and they'll need to make more game-changing plays. The Broncos had been 9-1 when forcing a turnover. Chris Abrams-Drain came up with an interception on Thursday night, but unfortunately the Broncos were not able to pull out a win. And offensively, I think the message will be finding a way to consistently have that sort of output that you're looking for. The Broncos scored 3 touchdowns on their first 3 drives, but then just 2 field goals after that. But this is going to be a week where you now have a little bit more rest than the opponent. The Browns and Bengals were previously scheduled to play on this Thursday night. It's one of the reasons why the Broncos like the idea of flexing to Thursday. They surely would have wanted to get a win here in SoFi on this Thursday night, but now they've got a little bit more of an edge before the Browns and Bengals play on Sunday. They'll be able to have a rest advantage, and then they will get ready to go to Cincinnati to try to get that all-important 10th win. But for now, let's send it back to Elisa in the studio.
Thanks, Aric. Checking back in, quarterback Bo Nix spoke to the media following the Broncos' loss to the Los Angeles Chargers.
But what's your role as a captain, as a quarterback, to get these guys kind of ready to go for next week and turn the page from this one?
Well, the good thing is my role is going to be pretty simple because everybody in that locker room, every guy wants to already play next week, I think, at this point. We're all competitively frustrated, and I think we're excited for this opportunity. We know this next one is the most important, and we just want to, I think, go out next week and not feel this way again.
Well, because the last time y'all played a Thursday game after a loss, you were kind of excited, but now the extra rest you just had a bye. Do you wish you were maybe playing a little sooner? I
don't know. I think the rest will be good. Playing a 3-day break this week was tough, so it's good to have a few days to rest and then get going again for next week.
What was the difference, Bo, first half and second half? You ran the ball well in the first half, not quite as well in the second half. Were they doing anything defensively to shut things down more, or what would you say?
No, I think, we got the same defense. Just, for whatever reason, couldn't get going. A few drives, sputtered, but, it's no excuse. We got to move the ball better, and we had opportunities. Our defense got us the ball back several times, and, just a few short drives.
Well, what did you think about the decision to be aggressive at the end of the first half and try to move the ball down the field instead of just run the ball and go into halftime with the 2-possession lead?
Well, we had about 45 seconds and 2 timeouts, and I think every offense in the league is trying to go score.
Is there a process of you trying to get ready for the last haul of games? Because this is the most you've ever started in a season. It's totally different, right? And you hope for a bunch more. So is there a process of trying to be physically ready for it?
Yeah, now's the important time to take care of your body even more. And, fortunately for me, I'm healthy going into, I guess, week 17 at this point in the season. And, it's tough. And, it's a grind during the season, but, we prepare off season for this. And this is where you go out there and, compete. This is the, most important part of the season is the ending. And so got to find ways to, win games, and being healthy is a huge part of that.
Do you feel that, though, at this point, a little bit like, hey, I've never done this before, and I'm just getting used to it?
Well, it's kind of, to tell you the truth, it's kind of Groundhog Day. You just know you got another game the next week, so right. You do what you got to do to prepare, and same rhythm, same routine. Just I think by the end of the season, when you don't have a game, when you get in the off season, it's going to feel a little weird. You're out of rhythm, but for right now, we got this next one in Cincinnati.
Time for a few more guys.
They do have one of the better defenses in football. You scored 27 on them. How do you feel overall your offense performed?
Good and bad. We left some opportunities out there. First 3 drives, 21 points, and then just kind of stalled only 3 the rest of the game. So we got to look, at why that was the case. Got to look back at the film and watch and, be critical for ourselves. But some good and bad things, just pretty much like any other game.
When we come back, I'll be joined by Denver 7's Bradey King and former Bronco and ESPN analyst Orlando Franklin as we reveal our favorite moments from the past 6 weeks and look ahead to the Broncos' final matchups. Stick with us. Welcome back to Broncos Weekend. We are in the final stretch of the 2024 NFL season, and I think it's time to look back at some of our favorite moments from the year so far. Joining me now is Denver 7's Bradey King and former Bronco and ESPN analyst Orlando Franklin. Welcome, guys.
Thanks for having us.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
Finally.
So let's get to it. We talked it over and put together a top 5 best moments from week 7 to week 15. So coming in at number 5, kicker Will Lutz becomes the 5th fastest player to reach 1,000 career points in NFL history.
Snap placement. Lutz has it up, and it is good from 33. Will Lutz, 5 for 5 today.
Yeah, it's been unbelievable. Just watching him be such a solid rock for the Broncos. Will Lutz has been clutch for this team, where you've actually been able to gain some momentum with him being out there on the field.
Yeah, a consistent kicker is vital, especially when touchdowns are hard to come by like they were at one point during the beginning part of the season. So Will Lutz has been huge. It's such a thankless job. They make it and they're supposed to make it. They miss it and the world is ending.
Well, Will Lutz has won AFC Special Teams Player of the Week twice this year, and head coach Sean Payton had joked that's enough awards for you this year. Well, coming in at number 4, we have wide receiver Courtland Sutton as he surpassed 5,000 career receiving yards.
Nick's design roll to the right, throws back in the end zone. Pass caught. Courtland Sutton, touchdown Denver.
The big thing that I've noticed about Courtland Sutton this year is his consistency. And when you're playing a young quarterback like Bo Nix you want to develop each and every week, Courtland's been his whoopee, right? That guy that he could go to and he knows he's going to go up and be as aggressive as possible, and he's going to come down with that football or nobody. So it's been nice to see Courtland bring that veteran leadership and take care of a young Bo Nix out there on the football field.
Yeah, you touched on that leadership, not only on the field, but I feel like Court is that presence in the locker room. He's always going to have your back, specifically your quarterback's back. He's not going to badmouth anybody. He's going to stand up for guys, and that's what you need, right? And he's also been so consistent. It's no secret that he's been Bo's favorite weapon this season, and yeah, Well deserved.
Yeah, Bo Nix calls him his security blanket. And I mean, reaching 5,000 yards in your career is a very huge milestone. Now, coming in at number 3, we have quarterback Bo Nix and his career day versus the Atlanta Falcons at home.
Bo rolls to his right, squares his shoulders, throws a strike. That ball caught, and this is little Jordan Humphrey pulling away to the 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown Denver. That is the 4th touchdown pass of the game by rookie Bo Nix.
Bo Nix, right? We continue to talk about. Every time I jump on social media, I'm a Bo-lever, right? I mean, everybody's jumping on Bo Nix. It's been really amazing to see Bo Nix develop right before our eyes this season. I cannot think about another quarterback that has developed through the course of a season as well as he has. And you love to see the relationship that him and Sean Payton has, but also you love to see his leadership first year in the National Football League. That's very hard to come by. I remember my first year in the league, I didn't say a word, right? I mean, you get all these guys that are around you and you're so intimidated, but it's nice to see that he has welcomed being the leader of the Denver Broncos and really putting a city on his back.
Yeah, my favorite part of this performance for Bo is that it was after they had just suffered 2 losses. So he came out, showed that he's not rattled, even though he is a rookie, and that he knows how to respond, which was huge.
Bo Nix, first rookie in NFL history to throw for more than 300 yards, 4 touchdown passes, no incompletions, and have a completion rate of at least 75%.
A really outstanding day from the rookie. Coming in at number 2, we have primetime play, outside linebacker Nick Bonito's first career pick 6, and then he followed that by his 2nd defensive touchdown in Week 15.
Winston takes a snap. He throws the ball. It's intercepted. This is going to be a house call. Touchdown. That is Nick Bonito. This is going to be a double pass. They throw it, complete it, throw it back to Richardson. It's going to be intercepted. Intercepted Nick Bonito. Bonito to the end zone.
Yeah, Nick Bonito continues to make his case for Defensive Player of the Year, right? And I might be biased, but my favorite thing to see on a football field is every defender celebrating together. It really feels like they all scored, right? That was such a huge moment for him, but also just for the entire defense and how excited they were for him. I love to see that.
Nick Bonito is a player that's really had to work at his game, right? Coming out of Oklahoma, last pick of that 2nd round, came in and we knew that he had the speed to rush the passer, but this is the NFL, so offensive linemen are going to key in on your best move and be able to stop that. It's been nice to see him develop into now being able to counter once he stopped that first move. That's why he's making a strong case for Defensive Player of the Year with those 2 pick 6s, really helping this football team out.
Yeah, when I spoke to Bonito about it, he said, I don't really know what I'm doing to get defensive touchdowns, but hopefully that's a trend that I want to continue in my career. And one of his favorite players is Von Miller, so when you see him have the play that he's having, especially with this defensive line, it's hard to hold your own, but he's definitely doing that. Coming in at number 1, we have the series sweep versus the Las Vegas Raiders. The Broncos sweeping the Raiders during the regular season for the first time since 2014, and the first win in Las Vegas for Denver.
The Broncos have turned the tables on the Raiders, pun intended, and they've beaten Las Vegas twice this season, this time in Las Vegas.
Well, as a reporter, it was nice to finally put that storyline to rest, right? The Broncos finally getting that first win in Las Vegas. We could stop talking about it. It was a huge moment, and that Raiders rivalry is very real. The players talk about it, the fans talk about it. Oh, I'm sure you can attest to how good that felt to sweep the Raiders.
Oh, absolutely. It was the last time we did it. I was here. I was playing for the Broncos the last time we were able to sweep the Raiders. Broncos country, players that play on the Broncos right now, players that have come before. Man, if you know anything about the Denver Broncos, that hatred for the Raiders, it is very real. I remember when I got drafted, I said, hey, Broncos Nation, I'm super excited to be a part of the team. And everybody corrected me immediately and said, hey, it's Broncos country.
You remember you said Nation? I was like, wait, what?
Exactly, right?
We were like,
I'm
exactly,
sorry. Right? So this fan base knows so much about it, the rivalry, and it was just really nice to see the Broncos get that sweep and tell the Raiders that better luck next year. But hopefully what we saw this season is something that's to come over the next couple years as well.
Well, getting that first win in Las Vegas is also a very huge milestone. I think it really kicked off a shift in this season because after that, the Broncos went on a really good run.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you're able to beat a division rivalry, especially with one that you've struggled so much, there's a lot to be said about this year's Denver Broncos team. And I truly believe that what we have seen, specifically this past week, where things did not start well against the Colts, is the Broncos have created a winning culture under Sean Payton, which is kind of crazy because this is the first year the Broncos have had a winning season in a very long time.
Yeah, right. Finding ways to win, right? We talk about it all the time. The good teams find ways to win, and the Broncos are finally in that conversation. And I agree, that win in Las Vegas was the turning point for this team.
The Broncos now look ahead to Week 17, where they will go on the road to Cincinnati before hosting the Chiefs at home for the final game of the season. We will not see Broncos country until 2025.
No, that last game against the Chiefs will be so exciting. It's always fun to be back in Broncos country. Yes, it's cold, but at this point in the season, this fan base is so invested that you know they're going to show up loud and proud, and the Broncos are playing meaningful football, which is all you can ask for.
Yeah, I want to see them run the football. That's the former offensive lineman in me. So I just want to see them, the last 2 weeks of the season, let's make it our best 2 weeks of the season in the run game. Let's be as efficient as possible, and let's play that, that playoff caliber football each and every week. When you get to the month of December, it's about running the football, time of possession, no turnovers. So I just really want to see this football team put it all together, because we know the defense has taken care of business, and Bo Nix has been sensational this year with throwing the football. I want to get that run game going for Broncos country and for me as well.
Oh, we definitely have to get the win for you. And it's always fun to end the season against a division rival. Well, we want to remind Broncos country that it's that time again to vote your Broncos into the 2025 Pro Bowl games. There are a few ways that you can vote. You can visit probowl.com/vote, or you can tweet using the hashtag Pro Bowl vote and the first and last name of the player you want to vote for. Every tweet and repost counts. Voting ends December 23rd. The Pro Bowl is February 2nd in Orlando, so make sure that you guys vote. That will do it for this edition of Broncos Weekend. For Denver 7's Bradey King, former Bronco and ESPN analyst Orlando Franklin, and lead writer for DenverBroncos.com Aric DiLalla, I'm your host and Denver Broncos team reporter Elisa Hernandez, and this was Broncos Weekend. Thanks for watching, and good night.